Today, we are going to talk about one of the most powerful empires in world history, the Ottoman Empire. For more than 600 years, this empire ruled vast regions of the Middle East, Eastern Europe, and North Africa. This Islamic superpower shaped world politics, trade, warfare, religion, and culture for centuries. In this video, we will understand how the Ottoman Empire began, how it rose to power, its major characteristics, and finally, how this mighty empire declined and disappeared from the world stage. So let's begin by understanding the conditions that made the rise of the Ottoman Empire possible. Setting the stage, around 1300 AD, the Eastern Roman Empire, also known as the Byzantine Empire, was slowly declining. Most people in this empire followed Christianity. At the same time, the Turkish Seljuk kingdom of Rum had already been destroyed by the Mongols. The region of Rum referred to Asia Minor or Anatolia, the land we now know as modern-day Turkey. After the collapse of the Seljuk Empire, Anatolia was divided into many small Turkish principalities. The Turks were highly militaristic people. They had a long history of invading and conquering neighboring territories. They were loyal to their tribes and groups, but they were not united under one strong central authority. Out of these fragmented Turkish groups, one powerful leader emerged. He united the Turks and laid the foundation of a new empire, an empire that would eventually spread across 3 continents. That leader was Osman. Origins of the Ottoman Empire. Most Turks in Anatolia considered themselves Ghazis, meaning warriors of Islam. These Ghazis formed military societies under the leadership of chiefs known as emirs, and they followed a strict Islamic code of conduct. By the late 13th century, Turkish Ghazis had begun raiding the frontier territories of the Byzantine Empire. Among them, the most successful leader was Osman. In the West, he became known as Othman, and his followers came to be called the Ottomans. Between 1300 and 1326, Osman established a small Muslim state in Anatolia through military victories and political alliances. This small state would later grow into the mighty Ottoman Empire. Osman's successors expanded the empire by purchasing land, forming alliances with local rulers, and conquering rival territories. One of the biggest reasons behind Ottoman military success was their use of gunpowder weapons. The Ottomans replaced traditional horse-mounted archers with disciplined foot soldiers carrying muskets. They were also among the first armies to use large cannons during sieges. Even heavily fortified cities became vulnerable against Ottoman artillery. Osman's son, Orhan, also known as Orhan I, became the next major Ottoman ruler. He declared himself Sultan. In 1361, the Ottomans captured Adrianople, the second most important city of the Byzantine Empire. Today, this city is called Edirne, located in modern Turkey. And from this point onward, a powerful Turkish empire began rising from Anatolia. Rise of the Ottoman Empire. Under capable rulers like Osman, Orhan, and Murad I, the Ottoman Empire expanded rapidly. After Murad I, Bayezid I became Sultan. During his reign, an important event temporarily stopped Ottoman expansion. Timur the Lame halts. Ottoman expansion. In the early 1400s, a rebellious warrior from Central Asia challenged the growing Ottoman Empire. His name was Timur. Because he had suffered a permanent leg injury from an arrow wound, he became known as Timur the Lame, or Tamerlane in Europe. Timur completely destroyed the powerful city of Baghdad, located in present-day Iraq. Then, in 1402, he defeated the Ottoman forces at the Battle of Ankara. This defeat temporarily interrupted Ottoman expansion. However, Timur soon shifted his attention toward China, and the Ottoman sultans quickly rebuilt their power. Then came one of the most important moments in Ottoman history. Mehmed II conquers Constantinople. In 1451, Mehmed II became sultan. At that time, Constantinople, the capital of the Byzantine Empire, had dramatically declined. Its population had fallen from nearly 1 million people to only around 50,000. The Byzantine Empire no longer controlled territories outside the city walls. However, it still controlled the Bosphorus Strait, a strategic waterway connecting the Black Sea to the Sea of Marmara. This route linked on Asian Turkey with European Turkey. As long as Constantinople controlled the Bosphorus, it could threaten Ottoman trade and military movement between Asia and the Balkans. Mehmed II wanted to eliminate this threat permanently. Soon after taking power at the age of 21, he decided to conquer Constantinople. In 1453, he launched his attack. Ottoman cannons bombarded the massive city walls. One enormous cannon was 26 feet long and fired stone balls weighing over 1,200 pounds. The city's harbor was protected by a giant chain stretched across the Golden Horn, preventing Ottoman ships from entering. Then, Mehmed attempted something extraordinary. One night, his soldiers dragged 70 ships across greased wooden runners over a hill and into the harbor. Now the Ottomans attacked Constantinople from two sides. For 7 weeks, the city resisted bravely, but eventually the Ottoman forces broke through the walls and entered the city. With this victory, the 1,000-year-old Byzantine Empire finally came to an end. After conquering Constantinople, Mehmed II became known as Mehmed the Conqueror. But he was not only a great warrior, he also proved to be a capable ruler. He opened the city to Muslims, Christians, and Jews alike. People from different communities settled there and helped rebuild the city. Constantinople was renamed Istanbul and became the new capital of the Ottoman Empire. Very quickly, Istanbul turned into a major international center of trade and culture. The global impact of the fall of Constantinople. The fall of Constantinople had enormous consequences for world history. It created a major power vacuum in Europe. The Byzantine Empire had long been one of the strongest Christian powers in the world. Now it was replaced by the Islamic Ottoman Empire. This intensified conflicts between Christian Europe and the Ottomans. Trade routes were also affected. For centuries, Europeans had traded with the East through routes controlled by the Byzantine Empire. Now those routes were controlled by the Ottomans. As a result, European powers began searching for alternative trade routes. This search eventually led to famous voyages, including Christopher Columbus's voyage to the Americas, Vasco da Gama's voyage to India. These expeditions later paved the way for European colonialism in Asia and the Americas. At the same time, many Greek scholars fled Constantinople and migrated to Italy. They carried thousands of ancient Greek and Roman texts with them. The rediscovery of these classical works helped spark the European Renaissance. Because of these massive effects, historians often consider the fall of Constantinople a turning point in world history. Suleiman the Magnificent, the Golden Age. After conquering Constantinople, the Ottomans expanded into West Asia and North Africa, but the empire reached its true peak under Sultan Suleiman I. Suleiman became sultan in 1520 and ruled for 46 years. His people called him Suleiman the Lawgiver. In the West, he became famous as Suleiman the Magnificent because of the grandeur of his court and his cultural achievements. Suleiman was an exceptional military commander. In 1521, he captured Belgrade. The following year, Ottoman forces conquered Rhodes in the Mediterranean, strengthening Ottoman naval dominance. The Ottomans also captured Tripoli in North Africa and continued expanding along the Mediterranean coastline. In 1526, Suleiman advanced into Central Europe, conquering Hungary and threatening Austria. His armies even reached the gates of Vienna. Although Vienna did not fall, Ottoman control over Hungary was established, and at its height, the Ottoman Empire included Turkey, Greece, Bulgaria, Egypt, Hungary, Macedonia, Romania, Jordan, Palestine, Lebanon, Syria, parts of Arabia, and large regions of North Africa. Suleiman's reign is widely considered the golden age of the Ottoman Empire. Why didn't the Ottomans invade India? Despite their enormous power, the Ottomans never invaded India. Why? To reach India by land, the Ottomans first needed to conquer the Safavid Empire of Persia, but the Safavid Empire itself was extremely powerful. Although the Ottomans fought many wars against the Safavids, they never fully conquered Persia. As a result, they could not establish a direct land route into India. A sea invasion was also extremely difficult. However, the Ottomans did maintain contact with India. For example, they exchanged embassies with the Bahmani Kingdom of the Deccan. Ottoman military experts known as Rumis were also employed in India because of their expertise in artillery. The Ottomans even attempted to expand their influence over the Indian Ocean trade. They allied with local Muslim rulers on India's west coast and fought against the Portuguese naval forces. One example was their cooperation with Bahadur Shah of Gujarat, but in battles such as the Siege of Diu in 1538, the Portuguese successfully defeated the Ottomans. Ottoman administration and society. The Ottomans governed their empire intelligently. Conquered territories were administered through local officials appointed by the Sultan. In many regions, Ottoman rule actually improved the lives of peasants. As the empire expanded massively under Suleiman, an efficient administrative system became necessary. Decline of the Ottoman Empire. After reaching its peak under Suleiman, the Ottoman Empire slowly began to decline. By the 1600s, Europe was advancing rapidly because of the Renaissance, scientific revolution, and industrial revolution. Meanwhile, the Ottoman Empire suffered from weak leadership. Suleiman had executed his most capable son and exiled another. As a result, his less competent son, Selim II, inherited the throne. Over time, a brutal tradition developed where each new sultan killed his brothers to eliminate rivals. Princes were also isolated inside palace harems, cut off from education and real-world experience. This produced a long line of weak rulers. Trade competition from Europe also weakened Ottoman economic power. Then, in 1683, the Ottomans suffered a major defeat at the Battle of Vienna. This defeat accelerated their decline. Over the next century, the empire continued losing territories. Greece gained independence in 1830. Romania, Serbia, and Bulgaria became independent in 1878 during the Balkan Wars of 1912 to 1913. The Ottomans lost nearly all their European territories. By this point, the empire had lost most of its former glory. The final fall of the Ottoman Empire. When World War I began, the Ottoman Empire was already weak. In 1914, the Ottomans joined the war on the side of Germany and Austria-Hungary. But in 1918, they were defeated by the Allied powers. After the Armistice of Mudros, Ottoman territories were divided among Britain, France, Greece, and Russia. Finally, in 1922, the Ottoman Sultanate was officially abolished. Then, on October 29, 1923, Mustafa Kemal Ataturk declared Turkey a republic. Ataturk became the first president of modern Turkey and introduced major reforms to secularize and modernize the country.